You shouldn't feel shameful for having expectations and wanting to be happy. And if somebody truly loves you, they're going to make those sacrifices, and they're going to at least put in an effort to make you happy. And I love one thing that Mallory and I did. We did a 30-day writing challenge. Every day we wrote something new, and one of the prompts was to write about 10 things that make you happy, or 10 things to do to make us happy, or something like that. And I saved it. And so I have a cheat sheet specifically that tells me exactly what to do if Mallory's having a bad day, or she's struggling, or even if I just want to make her happy for some random reason, which wouldn't be random because I always want to make her happy. But it makes it so much nicer because I have it written down, so I know exactly, like, if I want to make Mallory happy, do these things.
Yeah.
And she has the same list for me, which is really cool. And that's so important. And if somebody wants to be with you and wants to have a happy relationship, and if you are struggling with this, if you're thinking about, like, oh, what am I getting out of this relationship, maybe try serving and making your spouse as happy as possible.
Yeah. I think Elder Oaks hit on that you have to have selflessness in your marriage. If you're struggling, it's probably because you're being selfish or they're being selfish. And that was a huge issue, is the selfishness. Both of us would say, but what about me? But what about me? But what about me? And our counselor would be like, hey guys, you're doing great, but you're focusing on yourself again. Try to focus on the other person. And at one point, the counselor even said, I think your time here would be better spent, and your time at home would be better spent if we focused on Mallory's needs a little bit more. And that was honestly huge for me, and because I did feel like I was being completely neglected, and my needs came before his wants, is what I felt, or came after his wants. His wants came first. That's how I felt in my marriage. And so having another person say to my ex, hey, you need to be a little less selfish, a little bit more aware of your wife, was reassuring for me, which was again helpful in the process of divorce, to be confident in my decision. But I think in your situation, you kind of had a similar problem, and you took on that, you call it love bombing, and maybe it was, but you took on that I'm going to serve her, I'm going to love her mentality. And I think that if you both have that, if both of the spouses have that, it can really work to just forget yourself and love the people you're around, love your spouse, love your kids. It can be so much better, but again, it has to be both of you. You have to both be in it. You have to both be serving. Otherwise, like in the situation I was in and the situation you were in, we were serving, we were loving, but then it just got even more out of balance because they were receiving everything that they had to give and everything that we had to give, which isn't going to be helpful in a marriage.
No. It was pretty crazy when Mallory moved to Utah for the first time, and she was hanging out with me for the day. We've been hanging out every day, which is amazing. But there was this moment where she used my restroom and swapped out the toilet paper without being asked. And it was so weird because I have always felt like in my marriages, in my relationships, I've always been like serve, give them attention, give them love, do nice things for them, take things off of their burden. But I don't really know how to receive that, which is really sad to think about. But it was so nice that, like, even something so simple as putting a fresh roll of toilet paper in the bathroom, that just the tiniest act of service, I recognized that, and it made her happy that I recognized it. Yeah. So it's important to recognize when people do nice things for you. But it's also those little things, even simple things, and recognizing them, it makes it so happy. It's not hard.
Yeah, and I love you so much, but that wasn't me trying to serve you. That was me just doing the normal considerate thing.
I know.
But now, every time I do something like that, it grows my love because I'm like, he's gonna appreciate this because even though it's something I would do in my own house, he's gonna notice and appreciate it. So I love that.
Yeah. And it makes her want to do more things when I get excited about the little things.
Yeah.
So, but I really do get excited though. I don't have to pretend at all. I get excited every time she helps me with things, and it makes me happy. And she recognizes the little things that I do for her, and it makes me feel needed and loved and appreciated.
Definitely.
And I think every relationship is different, and we're not going to tell anyone specifically get married, don't get married. That's not our choice. And I think your bishop's not going to tell you that either.
No.
Hopefully.
For sure. Maybe in an extreme circumstance.
Yeah.
They might.
However, but it's so important to recognize your needs. Work as a team. You're a team. You should be a team, and work together to create a solution. Write down your needs, have them write down their needs, help serve each other in every little way. And
I think too, if you both write down your needs and just swap it, don't think about your needs anymore. Take on your partner's needs as your needs. Then this is what I have to do to help our marriage and fix our problems. And I'm not worried about the other list anymore. That can help with that selfish attitude and help you be more focused on your partner.
I really like that. That's a great idea. Because sometimes we share our needs and then we're like, okay, you're not doing enough.
Yeah.
Even though they possibly are trying. And maybe if you give them 5 or 6 needs and they're focusing on one at a time, and you're like, oh, well, these other needs aren't being met. Like, well, what are you doing to fulfill their needs? Yeah. And honestly, if they're not even willing to sit down and write down their needs or read your needs, that's probably a good indication that they're not going to try.
And another thing is some of the needs some of the things that we feel are needs might not be needs. It might just be something we want. And so we might have to work with our partner to kind of reevaluate and prioritize our desires to realize what we actually need to better ourselves and better our relationship, and what areas we're letting that selfishness creep.
I think as you work together as a team, you can recognize those. There are some things that I would definitely say don't be flexible on.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I have this rule about exes. Not like there's no need to be friends with your ex unless you have kids together and co-parenting.
But that's not even a friendship.
That's not even a friendship. It's just a working relationship. Yeah. But yeah, that was one thing with my second marriage. She was friends with all of her exes, and I was really bothered by that. And she didn't seem to care that I was bothered by it. She's like, "Well, you're just being insecure." And it's like, oh no, that's an experience I've had in the past with my previous marriage, and that's something that's unacceptable to me. And if you're not even willing to unfriend an ex for your spouse, then you really need to reevaluate your differences.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the next question, or I guess the next expectation is I've had a lot of people that don't really agree with this in order of what's important or who's the most important. I'm trying to think of the word. What is that word?
I don't know what you're trying to say.
A priority. That's the word. Who's the top priority in your life? Like when organized. But who would you say is your priority list in order from top to bottom?
Are you asking?
I'm asking you. I want to know your opinion. I'm pretty sure we have the same answer, but.
Well, I feel like if you put God first, that will kind of help everything else fall into place. But then your spouse, for sure, if you come first. And then the kids, and they're just getting it. There's not a kid that goes above the other. But then after that, there's other family and friends that can kind of fall into place afterwards. But God, and then you, and then the kids.
Mm-hmm. I've had some people that swap the kids and your spouse, saying that kids are more important than your spouse. What would you say is the reason behind putting your spouse first?
I think that I can understand maybe where some people are coming from when they say that, because sometimes a kid's need in the moment is more urgent than yours. Like, oh, they just fell down and are bleeding. They can't help themselves. If you fell down and you were bleeding at the same time, I would go help the kid first. Not because you don't come first, but because you can help yourself a little bit better than that 2-year-old,
I sure hope so.
Yeah. So I can maybe see where they're coming from there, but ultimately, I'm sealed to you first. They're going to be sealed to their spouses, and I love that. But our eternal bond, you and I first. 100%. And when they grow up and leave, what am I going to do then? Shift back to you and go, I love you still. Like, you want to hang out again? Like I gotta put this first so that we can have a strong foundation. And if we're working together, the kids will be so much better off. You and I have that strong partnership, and we'll be able to figure out how to help the kids better than we ever could on. If we're putting them first, it's like we're approaching parenting separately, if that makes sense. So as far as that goes, I think in relation to the kids, it's best for us to put each other first, but also in relation to our personal relationship. We need to be there for each other and help each other, because you're it, This is it. This is the most important connection, partnership we'll ever have. Most important relationship.
You're stuck with me. We can pass our kids on to somebody else eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think the kids really see that too. When you have a strong relationship with your spouse, they want to emulate that, and they learn from the example that you showed them.
Definitely.
And I think that's really great. And if both you and your spouse are happy and taken care of, and you take care of your spouse, then it's a lot easier to take care of your kids too.
Definitely.
Because you're both on the same page, you're working as a team, you're both happy. And we've had moments where the kids are just screaming around us, and we're just involved in each other. And we're like, we feel great. Let's tackle this as a team, and we'll take care of all these kids, and we'll be totally fine.
Be totally fine.
So it's pretty great. Thank you for sharing that. So yeah, we kind of, maybe as a summary, we talked about a lot of stuff here. As a quick summary, if you were to put it into 3 simple steps, what are 3 steps you would recommend in a short summary to help first save your marriage and then decide whether or not you can stay together?
You will only ever save your marriage if you're working together. So first, come together and try to make a plan. See what your partner, your spouse is willing to do to make it better, whether that's counseling or boundaries or going to the bishop or whatever, any of the things. I think that's the most important first step, is to come together and see what you can conquer together. And then make sure that you're doing everything you can to. Make sure that you are staying as close to God as possible and serving your spouse as much as possible and being patient in a really rough situation. Try to find ways to serve and love your spouse. And then pray. Pray for guidance. Pray to know if it's time to leave. Pray to know what steps to take in order to fall in love again, if you can. Include God in all of it.
I read a study recently, and I wrote this down, so I'm glad that you reminded me before we finished. It's a crazy statistic. Only one in like 7,000, I don't know the exact number, but it was a lot. Only one in like 7,200 or whatever people who pray together regularly end in divorce.
Yeah.
With an over 50% divorce rate in America, 1 out of 7,000 who pray together, I like those odds a lot better.
Yeah.
You know, it scares me to think that, like, oh yeah, like I have a % chance of getting a divorce again. But then, wait a second, I can control those.
Yeah.
I can control those stats. 1 in every 7,000 can get a divorce, or won't get a divorce. They would pray together regularly. Because as a man, if I'm willing to lead my family in prayer, lead my wife in prayer, and we'll pray for each other, pray for our needs, pray for guidance, it makes a huge difference. And yeah, so that's probably the most important, to be honest. Pray together. If you're praying together, you're going to work together. You're going to come together. You're going to repent together. And so if you can pray together every night, make it happen. And if your needs aren't being met and you've done all those steps and things aren't changing, then talk to your bishop. Talk to a counselor. Figure out those next steps. But just know that we love you. We pray for everyone who's going through similar trials. Hopefully you guys can better your marriages and come together, or hopefully you can get into a better situation. And we've been very lucky to get out of bad situations and make the best of it. So don't give up. Know that God loves you. Know that we love you. And there's hope for you.
If you have any specific questions for us, or if you want to share your story, or if you want advice, we don't really know what we're doing, but feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from as many of you as possible and share more of our story.
Absolutely. So thanks for listening. I know this is a long one, but hopefully you learned a lot. We appreciate you. So we'll see you next time.